Hi guys, welcome back to LaDenser Crochets. In this tutorial we're going to be making this turtleneck halter top that is V-shaped on the bottom. I hope you're going to enjoy this. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and let's get into the tutorial. These are the requirements. I'll be using a medium weight yarn in this shade of purple. It's a Kenyan brand called Winter King. You can substitute this with any medium weight yarn that you have available to you. I'll be using a 3mm crochet hook. You'll need a darning needle, some stitch markers, a pair of scissors, and a measuring tape. You'll take your bust measurements. Mine is 35. And then you're going to divide this by 8. When I divide this by 8, I'll get 4.3 something. So I'm going to work with this estimate of 4.3. We begin with a slip knot as usual. Then chain 25. That's our chain. After the 25 chains, you're going to block off the 25th chain and chain one more. Then you're going to yarn over and put your hook onto that chain that you're holding, the 25th. Put your hook through, yarn over and grab a loop. And you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through all the 3 to complete a half double crochet. Then yarn over, go into the next chain, grab a loop, get 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all the 3 for the second half double crochet, yarn over, go into the next chain, which is the 3rd chain, grab a loop, then yarn over and pull through all the 3. So we're going to place 1 half double crochet into every chain till we get to the end of row 1. At the end of that row, you should have 25 half double crochets. I just placed the last half double crochet into the last chain, and we're done with row 1. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. We begin row 2 in the first stitch, and in that stitch we are placing a half double crochet, then a half double crochet into the next stitch, into the stitch that follows. These stitches are very clear. You can clearly see where you're putting your hook through. So just go into those very visible stitches and place 1 half double crochet into each one of them for a total of 25 half double crochets at the end of row 2. As you can see, you're only left with 1 visible stitch, but there's this last one that is not very visible. Be sure not to miss it. So you're going to place a half double crochet into that stitch, then you'll yarn over and place the last half double crochet into this last stitch right here, like that. You're done with row 2. You're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. We begin into this stitch with a half double crochet, and then 1 half double crochet into each of the other stitches. Do this till you get to the end of row 3. At the end of row 3, chain 1 and turn to begin row 4, and we'll keep repeating this row. We are repeating row 2 all through till we get the 4.3. If you had gotten 5, you'll work till you get 5 inches, and the inches will get them while stretching. Like when you're measuring, you have to stretch out your work. So let me do 8 rows, then I'll be back and we can measure and see how far we'll have gotten with the 8 rows. This is what I have after 8 rows, and we're going to measure this to see how far we are. So I'll just measure like this. Without stretching, at around 3 inches. When I stretch this out, I'll get to 3.5, and I want to get to around 4.3, and I can work with 4.5. So I'm going to do 2 more rows to get me to 10 rows, and that will get me to my 4.3 or 4.5, which is okay by me. So just chain 1 and turn to begin row 9, then work a stitch in every stitch. So 1 half double crochet in each of the stitches that we have. Then I'll do 2 more rows and come back so that we can continue. After 10 rows, I'm at this point and I'm going to measure again. And this stretches up to the 4.5 that I was mentioning. I would advise that if you're working the rows, make sure that your rows are an even number. So it could be 8, 10, 12, 14, depending on your size, because we'll need to divide the rows by 2. So work with an even number of rows. Now to begin row 11, we chain 1 and turn. And this is going to be our top part of the upper part. So I'll mark this side to show that this is the upper part of the top, and then the side that is not marked will be the lower part. We begin row 11 with an increase in the first row, and we're going to place 2 half double crochets into this first row. So 1 and 2 into the same stitch. Then all the other stitches will each get 1 half double crochet till we get to the end. I'll meet you at this end so that I can show you what we're going to do at the bottom part, because we're doing something different at the bottom too. So let's get there and work that part. Just place 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Once you have the last stitch in the your last half double crochet in the last stitch, you're going to chain 3 at that point. So chain 1, 2 and 3. Then you're going to turn your work like this and hold that third chain and chain 1 more. Then you're going to yarn over and put a half double crochet into the chain that you're holding, the third chain that you did. Then yarn over, put a half double crochet into the second chain, and yarn over, put a third half double crochet into the third chain. Now into this third chain, we won't work here, we'll work right here. So that is our third half double crochet after the increase, and then all the other stitches till you get to the upper part. Till you get to this point will just be 1 half double crochet. When you get to the end, you're going to work another increase with 2 half double crochets into the last stitch. So let me go on and place 1 half double crochet into each of the other stitches. I'm in the last stitch, and into that stitch we're going to place 2 half double crochets. So right here, place the first half double crochet, then yarn over and place another half double crochet into that same stitch, like that. We are in row 12. We are done with row 12. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 13. We start into the first stitch with 2 half double crochets. Then we're going to work 1 half double crochet to the end. When we get to the end, we're going to chain 3. So every other stitch will get 1 half double crochet. I'm coming to the end of that row, and I'm placing my last half double crochet into the last stitch, this one right here, the last half double crochet, like that. Then chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Turn your work to this side, like that. Block off the last chain and chain 1 more, then go into that chain that you're holding with a half double crochet. Into the next chain, 1 half double crochet. The chain that follows, instead of working right here, we work here. That's the third after the increase, and then we're going to work 1 half double crochet into all the other stitches. As we come to the end at this upper part, we're going to place 2 half double crochets into the last stitch, 1 and 2, then chain 1 and turn. So this part of the increase is going to be 10 rows. That means if you started with 10 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 like me, you're going to work that increase with 10 rows. Now if you started with 12, you're going to work the increase with 12 rows. If you started with 8, you're going to work the increase with 8 rows. So let me work my 10 rows with the increase at the top and the increase at the bottom, and I'll be back to show you what to do next. So begin with an increase in the first stitch, and all the other stitches will get just 1 half double crochet. At the end you'll chain 3 and work back. So because my stitches my rows were 10, I'll come back once I'm in row 20. If yours were 8, you'll get to 16. If they were 12, you'll get to 24. If they were 15, you'll get to 30. This is after the 10 rows of my increase. You should get to a point like this after either your 8, your 10 or your 15 rows. So we're going to work the next 10 rows without increasing on the top part. So remember, this is the top part of the top, or the upper part. This is the lower part. Now we'll start going flat on the upper part, working without increasing, but we'll continue increasing on the bottom part, and we'll keep increasing in the bottom part till we have 3 rows remaining. So like if your rows are 10, you'll work for 7 rows, and then after the 7 rows you'll work something different. If your rows are 15, you're going to work for 12 rows, and then after the 12 rows we'll do something different at the bottom. So let me do my next 7 rows, because I'm taking 10 minus 3 to get 7. So at this end, which is the beginning of row 21, I'll chain 1 and turn and place just 1 stitch into that first stitch. Then all the other stitches get just one half double crochet, and once we get to the bottom part, we'll chain our 3, because like I've mentioned, we continue increasing in the bottom part as the upper part remains flat for the next 7 rows. So at the end, we are chaining 3 and turning our work, then holding the 3rd chain and chain 1 more, then go into that 3rd chain with a half double crochet, a half double crochet into the next chain, and a half double crochet into the 3rd chain. Then just place 1 half double crochet till you get to the top. Remember, at the top we are remaining flat, so just 1 half double crochet into the last stitch, chain 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Once we get to the bottom, increase by 3, and I'll do my 7 rows to get me to 27. Then I'll be back and show you what to do next. So this is after my 27 rows, and as you can see, I've not chained at the bottom. We were chaining 3, but I've not chained yet, because we're not going to chain the same number of rows. At this point, we're going to chain 6 instead of 3. If you work your rows, and that last row that you're working before the last 3 rows of the middle part, if you end up at the top, you're going to work all the way down till you get to the bottom. Like at the bottom, I was supposed to chain 3 at this point, but instead I'll chain double whatever we were chaining. So I'll chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, then turn. I'll begin row 28, and I'm going to work row 28, 29, and 30. And as I do that, the bottom part is going to remain flat. So chain, hold the last chain that you've just made, and chain 1 more, then yarn over, do a half double crochet into that chain that you're holding, then a half double crochet into the next chain. That's 2, then 3, 4, then we have 5, then the 6th one is going to be right here. Do the 6th. Then now you're going to work with just 1 half double crochet till you get to the top. That will be my row 28. So I'll work row 28 to the top, row 29 to the bottom, and I'll not increase at the bottom, then row 30 to the top. I'll meet you once I have my 30 rows. So at this point, from row 28 to row 30, you're just placing 1 half double crochet in every stitch. No increase, no decrease. Now whatever I have here is after the 30 rows, as you can see, and I end my 30th row at the top. Now this is half of the top that we are working. So we are done with the first half. We need to do the second half. So we are done with this side. We need to do the other side, and this other side should be exactly the same as this side that we've already done. And so we're going to begin, and just like we've done on the top part, we've done 10 rows at the top and we have 3 rows at the bottom. So what we're going to do, the 3 rows that we've just done, we're going to chain 1 and do 3 rows to get to a total of 6. 3 rows. So we have 3 here. We're going to do 3 more, and that will get me to 33 rows. And we are doing these rows without increasing or decreasing. Then after the 3, I'll start reducing. So at this part, I did 7 rows, then 3. Now I'm going 7 rows of non-increase while I was still increasing at the bottom. So now I'll do 3 while not increasing at the top and the bottom, and then I'll do 7 while remaining straight at the top part, and then I'll be decreasing in the bottom part. So let me do the first 3 to get me to 33. Then I'm going to show you how we're going to do the reduction. So this is my 31st row. I'll do the 31st, the 32nd, and the 33rd. This is after the 3 rows, and that makes 6 rows at the bottom part of the top. And because I was working 10 rows, each of my sections are 10 rows, I have 7 rows remaining, and that means I'll work 7 rows with the top part without decreasing, but I'll be decreasing on the bottom part. So to start the decrease on the bottom part, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. We begin with a slip stitch in the first stitch, then a slip stitch into the second stitch, and we're going to slip stitch 6 times. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that reduces the 6 stitches that we increased on this side. Then we're going to do a 7th one to get into the 7th stitch and chain 1 at that point. Then yarn over and go into that 7th stitch with a half double crochet. Then do a half double crochet all the way to the top, or to the upper part of the top right here. Each of the stitches is going to get just 1 half double crochet. So if you are working 15 rows and you've already worked the 12, you're going to be working 15 minus 3, which is 13. If you had worked 12, you'll work 12 minus 3, which is 9. Mine were 10, and so I'm working 7 at this point with the upper part with no reduction, but I'll be reducing at the bottom part. Once you get to the upper part, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to work the next row all the way back to the point where we've started the half double crochet. So the next row will be a solid row that has no reduction. Then the row that follows is the one that will have a reduction. So once you get to this point, chain 1 and turn and work all the way back to this part, and I'll meet you back at this point. So I'm coming back to the end of the row at the bottom part, and this is the last stitch, so I'll place a half double crochet into it, then chain 1 and turn. Now the row that follows will be a reduction row, and because at this point we were increasing with 3 stitches, we're going to reduce 3, and therefore we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch, into the second, into the third. We've reduced the 3, then we'll slip stitch into the 4th and chain 1, then work a half double crochet into that 4th stitch. Then we're going to work a half double crochet all the way to the top, and then chain 1 at the top and work all the way back to this beginning part right here. I'm at this point right now, and those are 4 rows after this extension right here, and so I'm going to do a reduction into the 5th. So chain 1 and turn. We're reducing 3 chains, 3 stitches actually. So we begin with a slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then chain 1 and work a half double crochet into that stitch, then work 1 half double crochet into each of the stitches. So this will be my 5th row, which I'm going to work all the way to the upper part. Then I'll work the 6th row back, then I'll reduce in the 7th row, and that 7th row will end at this point, and at that point I'll have 40 rows. So after the 40 rows I'll be back, and then we're going to start working a reduction at the upper part of the top, so that we can get something like what we have on this other side. So now if your rows were 10 like mine, you're working 7 rows, I'm in the 5th one, so I'll work the 6th and the 7th. If yours were 12 and you're in the 5th one, you'll need to work 7 more before you can start reducing at the upper part of the top. So now this is after my 7 rows of the decrease at this point, and I'm at row 40 now. So we're going to begin decreasing on the top part and continue reducing 3 stitches at the bottom. And we're going to do that reduction for the next 10 rows. If yours were 12, you'll do it for the next 12. If they were 14, you'll do for the next 14. If they were 8, you'll do the reduction for the next 8 rows. So I've just chained 1 and turned, and we begin reducing. To reduce, we're going to combine these 2 stitches into one, and to do that, after chaining 1, you're going to put your hook into the first stitch and yarn over and grab a loop like you're making a single crochet, but then do not complete the single crochet. Then you're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, grab a loop, and you're going to have 4 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through the 4 of them, and at that point you've put the 2 stitches together into one, and that's a reduction. Then into the next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet. Then each of the other stitches is going to get just 1 half double crochet till you get to this point at the end. And then in the next row is when we reduce at the bottom. I'm coming to the end of the row, just placing 1 stitch into every stitch. I'm in the last one, and right there we'll have a half double crochet, chain 1 and turn to begin the row 42, which begins with a reduction. So we slip stitch, put your hook, grab a loop and pull it through the first 2, 3 and 4. Then we're going to work in that 4th stitch, so we chain 1 and yarn over, go into the stitch and place a half double crochet. Then we're going to work 1 half double crochet till we have 2 stitches remaining at the upper part of the top. At this point I have 2 stitches remaining, so to combine them into a reduction, we're going to yarn over, put your hook into the second last, yarn over, grab a loop. You'll have 3 loops. Do not complete the half double crochet. Put your hook into the last stitch and yarn over and grab a loop, get 4 loops, then yarn over and pull through all the 4. And there we've reduced. At the end, chain 1 and turn to begin the next row, which is our row 43. And this row we begin with a reduction. So put your hook into the first stitch and grab a loop, yarn over, put your hook into the next stitch and yarn over, grab a loop, then yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops. That's the reduction in row 43. Then you will continue to the end. I'll continue to the end of this row with just 1 half double crochet until I get to this point. Then we'll continue with the reduction for the next 8 rows. So I'm in row 3. I'll do up to 10 rows of reduction at this top part while I continue reducing on this other part. This is what I'm going to have after reducing on the upper part for 10 rows while reducing at the bottom part. And at this point, I'm in row 50, and I only have this part remaining. So this is the part where we worked with 25 half double crochets for 10 rows. So remember, if yours were 8, stick with the 8. If they were 12, stick with the 8. Mine were 10. And so at this point, we're not going to reduce anymore or increase. We're just going to chain 1 and turn. I'm beginning my row 51, and I'm going to work from row 51 up to row 60 with just 25 half double crochets in every row. That is placing just 1 stitch into each of the stitches. So yarn over, go into the first stitch, do a half double crochet, then a half double crochet into the next stitch, into the next, and into all the stitches, and do this to the end of the row. Once you get to the end of the row, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and just place 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Remember, you're not reducing anymore, you're not increasing, you're just working with the 25 half double crochets for the next 10 rows. I'm done with my last 10 rows, and I'm at row 60 right now, and this is what I'm going to be having. As you can see, the main part of the top is complete. Next, we're just going to create the loops on both sides, or the gaps that are going to have the straps that will strap the top at the back part. And to do that, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then we begin with a single crochet. Single crochet is put your hook through the first stitch, yarn over, grab a loop, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Then after the single crochet, you're going to chain 2. Then we skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, then into the third one, do a single crochet. Then we're going to do 4 more for a total of 5 into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, into the third one, do a single crochet and do 4 more. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. At this point, you have 3 stitches remaining, so you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and do a single crochet into the last stitch right there. Single crochet, chain 1, and turn your work. We are going to do the last row on this side. We begin in the first stitch, the first single crochet, place a single crochet right there. Into the chain stitch, do 2 single crochets. Then place a single crochet into each of the previous single crochets. We get to the chain 2 stitch and place 2 single crochets into the chain 2. Then a single crochet into every stitch till you get to the top. And you're going to have the last single crochet into the last stitch, chain 1, and you're going to cut off the yarn at that point, and you're done with creating those gaps. Then we need to create the gaps on the other side. So this is what we have on this side. Now we've started creating the gaps from the top part. So for the other side, we'll start creating the gaps from the bottom part, this point right here. So what you're going to do is get your yarn and do a slip knot. Then reattach the yarn into the first stitch, which is this stitch right here, and do a slip stitch like that to reattach. Then you're going to chain 1 and go back into that stitch with a single crochet. Next we chain 2, then we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, then into the third one we'll do a single crochet. Then we're going to do 4 more to get to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, then do a single crochet and do 4 more to get to 5. And here you're just repeating what you've done on the other side. Then chain 2, again skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, then into the third one, do 5 single crochets into the next 5 stitches, chain 2 and skip 2, then do a single crochet into the last stitch, chain 1, and now you're going to work a single crochet all the way back to where you've begun. The chain 2 stitch will each get 2 single crochets. Every single crochet will get 1 single crochet. I like to bring these tails or the ends this way so that I can work over them. You have the last single crochet into the first stitch, chain 1 and cut. We are done with those gaps on each of the sides. I'm going to weave in the other ends. Next, we're going to work the high neck on this part, the flat part at the chest area, and for my flat part I had 20 rows. So what I'll do is I'll get my yarn and the hook. I'll count 20 rows from this end so that I can be sure the exact point where I'm starting. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'm going to reattach the yarn at this corner. So I'll just get the yarn and grab a loop through. Then chain 1. And I'll go back into that row with a single crochet. So because I've just mentioned that the flat part for my top is 20 rows, if yours is 24, you're going to work 20 stitches. So in every of the rows, I'll place 1 single crochet for a total of 20 stitches. So that's my first. And this will be 2, 3, 4, So I've worked from one corner to another, and those are my 20 stitches. Now we chain 30 from this point. So I have my 30 chains. I'll hold the last chain or the 30th chain and chain one more, then go into that chain that I'm holding, put my hook through, yarn over, grab a loop, have 2 loops and complete a single crochet. Then I'll work a single crochet into each of the chains that I've made for a total of 30 single crochets by the time I get to this point. So just 1 single crochet in the back loop or in just 1 loop of the chains that we've just made. We are doing a ribbon for the neck part. I've done my 30 single crochets down to the point where we started the chain, and at this point you're going to turn your work like this, so that these stitches that we did are facing you. And then we're not going to work into this stitch, we're going to work into the next one. Put your hook through, yarn over, grab a loop, and complete a slip stitch. Then you're going to do another slip stitch into the next stitch. Then without chaining, turn your work. We are going to work in the back loops of the stitches that we've just made. This is the first stitch. Normally we would work into this stitch, but instead we're going to be putting our hook into the back loop. This is the back loop. So instead of working the stitch here, we'll work it into this loop. So put your hook through and do a single crochet into the next back loop, do a single crochet, then a single crochet into the next back loop. And for row 2, we're going to work a total of 30 single crochets in the back loop of each of those stitches. Do this till you get to the end. Here is my last stitch, and into that back loop I'll do a single crochet, chain 1, and turn. So remember, you're only chaining 1 on this end, but not at the bottom part of the ribbon. Now to begin row 3, we begin in the back loop of the first stitch. Be careful not to miss any stitch. To ensure that, count your stitches if you're not sure that you're getting all the stitches. So into that first back loop, a single crochet, then a single crochet into the next back loop, and we place a single crochet into all the back loops till we get to the bottom, and you should have 30 single crochets at the end. I'm at the end of row 3, and we're going to go into the next stitch. We worked in this previously, so into the next one you'll do a slip stitch, then do a second slip stitch into the next stitch. We are not chaining, just turn your work, and we start in the first stitch and work the back loop, then work all the back loops to the top. When you get to the top, you're going to chain 1. At the top you're going to chain 1 and you'll turn, then continue working single crochets in the back loop till you get back here, and then when you get back you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and then into the next. So at the bottom of the ribbon you slip stitch twice and turn your work without chaining. At the end on the top you chain 1 and turn to begin the next row. After working 20 rows, actually I'm in row 19 at this point, and what I'm going to do is slip stitch into the last visible stitch right here. We are supposed to slip stitch again, but because we do not have another stitch to slip stitch into, you're going to chain one and turn your work. Then again begin in the first stitch and work a single crochet into every back loop till you get to the top. Once you get to the top, you continue with chain one, turn and work back to this point. When you get to this point, when you get to the last stitch, you're going to chain one and turn to begin the next row. And I'll be chaining one and turning on both sides from now on, and I'll work until I have 50 rows. Then I'll be back to check whether the 50 rows will be able to fit through my head. So we want to work a number of rows such that when you connect the two ends together, that ribbon is able to go through the head and fit on the neck. So I'll do 50 rows with single crochets in the back loops. I'm in row 20 right now, so I'll do 30 more to get to 50. So at the bottom part, we are not slip stitching anymore. It's going to be an extension, an hanging extension that will not be attached to the main top. Let me do the extension, then come back and show you how my work will be looking like. So I went on to make a total of 60 rows instead of 50, and this is what we have. Whatever number of rows you have, you should ensure that when you stretch this out, it's going to fit your head circumference. So my head circumference is 20 inches, and when I measure this, it's at 14 without stretching. When I stretch it out, it's going to go up to around 21. We need to make sure that whatever number of rows you make, you're going to get something that will be able to go over your head. Then after that, you're going to chain one and leave a long tail that we're going to use to sew the two ends together. So I'll just cut the yarn after leaving the long tail and then pull it through. Pull this yarn through. I think I've left a tail that is too long, but I'll shorten it and then we'll attach. So at this point, you're done with the top. You're only remaining with working the straps, or the strap that you're going to use to tie at the back parts right here. So to do the strap, I work with 2 strands of the yarn. So I'll just get the inner strand and the top strand and join them together. Make a slip knot. Then start chaining, and I'll do a chain of 300. After the 300 chains, you're going to cut off the yarn and pull through. Then we're going to attach this chain onto the top. So just get your top, and onto the gaps that we created, we're going to put the strap through. But before then, I'll get my yarn needle or the tapestry needle and put the ends through so that I can weave them in. And you're just going to hide them inside the stitches. Then once you're satisfied that it's well hidden, you're going to cut off whatever remains. We have that. Then we do the same on the other side. Then you're going to grab your strap and put it through the first gap on one side, and the other end through the other gap on the other side. Then you're going to crisscross the two ends of the strap and put it through the next gap. Do the same thing on the other side. Crisscross again. Put the hook through. And on the other side. Then finally we're going to crisscross and do that onto the last gap. We're then going to make a knot on the end. Make sure that the knot is very close to the stitches. Then cut off whatever end that remains. Do not cut too close to the knot. So you just cut like that and do that on the other end. Now we just have this top part remaining to attach. Because this tail is too long, I'll cut it short. Then get my darning needle, put the yarn through, and start weaving. You can weave on either side, whether on the inside or on the outer part of the neck part. So I'll start with the first stitch in the back loop. Then I'll go through the back loops on the other side of the first stitch. Let me hold my work like this. So the back loop of the second stitch and both loops of the other stitch on the other side. The back loop on one side, both loops on the other side, then back loop of the next stitch, both loops on the other side. And we'll keep weaving or sewing like that till we get to this bottom part. So keep sewing and attaching those two ends together. I'm on the last stitch and I'll just go through the back loops at this end, then I'll put a knot at that end, and then whatever end that remains, I'll weave it inside the stitches. On the inner part of the top. Then I'll cut off what remains. And at this point,
thank you for sticking around to the end of the tutorial. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, a comment, a share, kindly subscribe if you're not subscribed, and see you in the next tutorial.
You can fold it like this.